you doing? This is sus, add, and open string chords. What we're going to talk about today is when you see an sus after a chord, or if it says C add 9, or a chord that has open strings, and if you're playing up the neck and you hear some open strings ringing. I'm going to try to demonstrate some of those examples that are really common around the D chord, for instance. Give you some song examples using those types of chords. And then in a different video, what I want to do is talk more in detail about what that actually means. So this video, again, I'm just going to play through these examples. Next video, I'll talk about what does sus mean. How do you figure that out if you see a chord that says, you know, A flat, sus something. You'll be able to figure that out on your own. Okay, here, the first example I started with, in the key of D. This is a very common way to do this. When you see D and then you see D sus 4, you take the little finger and you stick it here. And then D sus 2, you release the little finger and the second finger, and you expose the first string open. And then you're back to the regular D. Creates a really great sound. A lot of musicians do this, and guitar players, you know. And then I just kind of went. And then we picked it up like this. So there's all kinds of little things, you know, that you can do with that. James Taylor uses that a whole bunch. A lot of songs do that. You can also do it with any chord, really, but these open string chords really work well. First position. Here's A. I'm going to use a 2, 3, 4, A major. A sus 4, you take that little finger and you jut it out to the D note on the second string. A sus 2, you release it all together, and now you're back to the A. So there's A sus 4, A sus 2, the C chord is another perfect example of how you can do this in first position. C chord. If you take the little finger and put it on the F on the 4th string of the 3rd fret, C, now that's called add 11. And we're going to talk about that. You could call it sus 4 as well, but like I said, in the next video I'll tell you why all that means. What all that means, I'm sorry. Now, if you release the little finger and the second finger, sus 2 or add 9. To C. So again, the same. Okay, so that kind of gives you an overview there of how you can take a chord and you can add those little parts in, and you can hear that in songs. Or if you're writing your own songs and you want to do something besides just sit on one chord. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is show you the song examples that I came up with that start to use some of these different chords. The first one I thought of was Wonderwall in the style of Oasis. You know, now this isn't the actual strumming song. This is just showing you what the chords are and some of the sequences. In another video, I'll show you the actual pattern. But for instance, this is called E minor 7. And what you want to do is take the 3rd finger and the 4th finger, and you're going to place that on the 3rd fret here, these two, and the 1st finger is here. Now listen to this one. And this is a very common way to play pop music, and that's a G chord, but I'm going to leave those 2 fingers up there. Now if I go to D sus 4, I still leave those 2 fingers up there, and then A7 sus 4, I flatten the 1st finger out over these the 4th and 3rd strings, and I have. So you'll notice that these 2 fingers, the 3rd and the 4th, did not move, and I can do this. It creates a really smooth sound where those 2 notes are in each of those chords. And then the next part of that tune will go to what's called C add 9. And what you do, it looks like a G, but you take these two over to here, and it creates C add 9, back to E minor 7, to G, and back to E minor 7. And that part could sound like this. Okay, so you can see how in that whole song you don't move the third and the fourth fingers. It's a really neat sound, and it's really a popular sound. Gets you out of that first position cowboy chord kind of a thing. That's why I'm trying to do this part of the example in the intermediate section here to kind of progress you along in some more interesting chord shapes. Now, the next one I have here is in the style of incubus, and this would be considered E minor. And this is up here on the neck on the 7th fret, 9th fret, skip the 3rd string, leave it open, and then the 8th fret with the 2nd finger. And you're going to play the low string and the high string and the 3rd string all open. It creates an E minor chord. Now if we take that shape and we move to the 5th fret, 7th fret, a power chord like that, take the pinky and put that on the 7th fret of the 2nd string, that creates what's called D add 2 sus 4. We'll talk about that. Then you can take that and move it down to here, creates a C chord, and then we're going to go to this one, which is a 1 and a 2, or a 2 and a 3, and that creates A sus 2. And if you hear that song in succession, again, this is not the actual strum pattern, this is just an example of, you know. Stuff all the time. These notes ringing out throughout the whole thing. They're called drones, drone notes or pedal notes that ring out through the whole time. It creates a very unique sound, and that's in the style of what those guys from Incubus might do. Another tune that I thought of that has these kind of chords in it is a Collective Soul. We may have remember those guys from the 90s there. Now this is called B minor 7 add 11, and in parentheses it says no fifth. It's fine. The software likes to generate these very specific chord names. Normally you leave that out. You would say B minor 7 add 11 or just B minor 11. But at any rate, this is how it's going to be played. 7th fret on the low string, mute out or skip the 5th string, 7th fret on the 4th, 7th fret on the 3rd. So you angle the 2nd finger so the 5th string doesn't ring. These two are open. It's a great sound. If you take that all the way down to the 2nd fret, you get F sharp minor 7 add 11 or F sharp minor 11. Now this is what's called G6, and we're going to take the 1st finger and either the 2nd or the 3rd and put that one on the B note on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. Angle the 1st finger, mute out the 5th string. It's wonderful. And now we have A add 2 sus 4. You're going to take that shape and you're going to move it up here. And this, again, is a really neat sound. It kind of goes... For example, if I wanted to play those chords with just the straight minors and majors, it would sound like this. So it has a really unique sound you can see when you add these other chords. Okay, the last one I had in the style of Tom Petty, and it starts with a D. And then the next one's called G5 over D, which is just the top 4 strings like this. And then we're going to do this. And that's A over E. Basically an A chord without the low string. So again, you're dealing with the top 4 strings and these first 2 measures. And then I did was D over F sharp. This is a really famous sounding chord. I use this one a lot. And I use a 1, 2, 4. Some people like the 3. I don't like that. I like the 4. And then to a G. Back to the A. So here we go. D over F sharp and to a G. What you'll notice when I play my G, if you look at the chord box there, the little finger stays on the D. It doesn't go up here. So what I can do, if I'm going to go right back to the D over F sharp, see how that little finger was here on the D note, stayed on the D note, and now I'm going to slide it back to the C sharp and place the A. Those are called chord pairs, and you really want to always look for those little similarities between chords, so it's just for ease of play. So, for instance, okay, so hopefully that makes your playing a little bit more interesting and you can get exposed to some of these chords. Now what I'm going to do, introduction here, next video we'll discuss theory on what this all means, sus, add. Then song examples with the actual strum patterns and the actual arrangement of those songs. So I hope that's helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.